Good evening, beautiful people. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter, we're going to get into our disclaimer and then we're going to hop right into tonight's conversation, which is about endless opportunities. Hope that you stay tuned. Here are the disclaimers. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter, I'm here to give you the disclaimers for this here live. Listen, I do not tolerate disrespect. That's in any way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's towards me, towards anyone that appears on the screen, towards anyone that appears in the chat. If you have not decided to be a better person, most people will tell you to leave, but I'm going to tell you to stick around because maybe something that is said today will encourage you to do so. Now, I am not a mental health professional. I am just one woman willing to share my personal experiences to let you know two things. One, you are not alone, regardless of how much you feel like you are alone, how many times you have felt that, you are not alone. And number two, you can overcome anything that life throws at you. There will be curse words, there will possibly be tears, but knowing me, it probably will be. And my opinions are my opinions. Your opinions are your opinions. We are here to have a nurturing conversations in regards to our opinions so that we will have a better understanding of each other. That's all I got for right now. I hope that you enjoy this nurturing conversation. Let's get to it. Wait, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button that helps me say suggested on YouTube. Make sure that you type in the chat, also leave a comment, and share it with your friends. That's all I got. Let's get into this conversation. I love you. Peace. Hello, beautiful people. How are you? Happy Sunday. I think I just broke my microphone thing. Oh, I didn't break it. It's just loose. I'm going to leave it alone, but I'm going to leave it alone. Welcome to the Nurturing Conversations podcast. My name is Shell, also known as Midwest Hummingbird. Also known as a lot of things to a lot of people. Here at the Nurturing Conversation podcast, we talk about topics that are, some say taboo, some say some topics people really don't talk about, but they want to talk about, but they don't, have a safe, comfortable space for them to talk about it. Well, that's what this is. This is a safe, comfortable space for you to talk about things that are going on with you. You don't have to reveal your name or anything like that. We're just here to have a good conversation. That's pretty much it. I created this podcast because as I was navigating my journey of healing and self-discovery, I realized that many people were coming to talk to me, and there are things that we were talking about that people should be talking about, but we don't. Like today's topic, of course, which is endless opportunities. I turned 43 on Monday, And as I was turning 43, I was just, I don't know if this happens to you, but every year before my birthday, I go through this like whole um, am I where I want to be in life? What can I do better? What can I change? I go down the whole list of things, and I was already on the journey of healing and self discovery. So this year I began to do, the whole, um, where, where am I? Am I in the space that I thought I would be when I got to this age? And because I never thought I would be 43, everything was pretty much up in the air. Well, I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Um, I have so much time, space, and opportunity to accomplish the things that I have yet to accomplish. And I said to myself, I said, the first thing that I want to do is stop holding myself back. And when I said that, of course, it wasn't just like, yeah, stop holding myself back. Like, it was so many emotions. It was like I just couldn't do anything but like cry, right? And when I said that, because when I said I need to stop holding myself back, immediately, like my body just sighed. It was just like, oh, finally, you get it. And for me, it was just like I had never said that out loud. Like I knew that a lot of the opportunities that I've been presented with so many opportunities, whether it's to travel the world singing, whether it's to work at major record labels. Like, I've been presented with so many different opportunities, but self doubt, fear, um, fear of success, like all of these different things held me back. And it wasn't because of what someone else thoughts or opinions, it was my own my own personal thoughts and opinions that kept me from being well, wait, because I was great, but it kept me from truly living my best life. um 3 years ago, I was getting ready to, before I turned 43, I was 40, but I was getting ready to turn 40, and I was like, I've carried around the weight of my past, and I've been able to do some really amazing things while carrying around that weight, but I don't want to carry the weight around anymore. I want to cleanse, like you clean out a closet. Like, I need to clean out the front closet. I got to make sure I write a note about that. But like, you clean your house, right? You get rid of all the things that are taking up space. You cleanse, you wipe spider webs, you dust, you do all of that. You make it feels better when you clean. Like, it feels better when you clean it out. So I'm like, I need to rid myself. I'm 40. I got tons of stuff in the back of my mind. Like, the stuff happen, you throw it in the back of your mind. Like, yeah, I get to it one day. And then your life moves so fast. I don't know if y'all noticed, but life moves really fast. And then when you get ready to get to it, it's like so much stuff in front of it. So you're just like, I'll deal with it. Either I will deal with it or I won't deal with it, or you just keep moving. So for me, it was like, no, I literally sat down and wrote on a pad of paper. Like they were, they taught me about mind mapping. So I wrote on a pad of paper. I wrote down feelings I need to let go, feelings I need to experience, feelings I need to embrace, things can do away with and still be good. Like, I wrote down everything that was in my mind. And I literally went from the first thing I wrote all the way to the end of the things that I wrote. And sometimes, I'm not going to sit here and act like I was just like, yeah, this is going to be a great experience, because sometimes I was scared out of my freaking mind. But you know what was more important than being scared? My tiredness, my I don't want to carry this around anymore. That was more important than everything. I was sitting and I was like, you know what? I could be doing more when it comes to my business. I could be doing more. And then I was like, well, what's stopping me from doing more? And you ever have that moment where you like really honest with yourself and you just like, dang, I can't believe I just told myself that? I had those moments. And I was just like, you could do more, but you're afraid that if you do more, more will be required of you. And I was like, I could see that. And where? Why? You just ask yourself why. And so I started to ask myself why, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm not living to my greatest potential because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of being successful. I'm afraid of what comes with success. Like I'm real life I was real life afraid of it. But the crazy thing is, as I'm afraid of it, I'm telling everybody, like, yeah, I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna be scoring documentaries. I'm gonna be recording people. I'm gonna be speaking on stages. I'm telling everybody this, but in the back of my mind, in my personal self, girl, I don't know why you saying that, cause you know. And I'm just was like, no, I gotta get rid of that. So I went. What I realized for me, it was my childhood situations that I experienced in my childhood were controlling. There we go. It was controlling how I viewed myself as an adult and how I navigated in certain spaces. I remember I would go into a room and I know that I deserved to be there. I worked hard to get in that room and I would walk in there with my head down and I would be concerned about, okay, I wonder if wondering, like, why am I here? What am I doing here? But when it came time for me to speak, I was like, yeah, this is who I am. This is why I do what I do. Whereas now, after I let go of those fears and let go and started to believe more in my abilities, when you let go of like the fears, when you let go of self doubt, when you let go of your own insecurities, right? You begin to see the endless opportunities. Endless. The opportunities are endless when you get out of your own way. There are so many opportunities. I was like, I was never one of those people that was like, hey, I can't do this because I don't have the money, or I can't do this because they won't give me the opportunity, or I can't do. I was never one of those people. I've always been, oh, this is what I need to do. I'm gonna go do that. I've been that. Like, I need to figure out. I want to be a singer songwriter. What I need to get? Oh, I need to get these instruments, or I need to get this equipment. Okay, let me go ahead and get that so I could do that. That's always been me. I want to be an entertainment lawyer. I am not at I am not at law school as of yet, but I've been reading as many books as I can, taking auditing courses, doing everything that I can right now to prepare myself for when I do decide, okay, let me go be an entertainment lawyer. That's me. Like, I like to prepare. I don't just like to wake up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this today. Mm-mm. I need to like have a little plan, not a big grand plan. Sometimes they do be big grand, but like a little plan. Like, I know step one, step two, step three, and if anywhere in those things, I'm okay. I'm okay with getting knocked off. Getting knocked off the course. I'm okay with that because I didn't make it to 43 without some bumps and bruises. But I'm sitting here, I'm going through my list. And the more, what I realize is that the more I address situations from my childhood, the more I opened myself up to feeling, to loving, to being vulnerable, to being transparent, to um, accepting where I was, to accepting like those things were things that just happened to me, but they don't define who I am. And when I started to say that to myself, I started to feel a little different. Like, you ever go to the store and you buy like those shoes, or you got even the perfume or cologne, or you just get your hair done, hair cut or hair done, and you just have a feeling about yourself, Like, that's the feeling that I had as I started to resolve things from my childhood. And the more I resolved things from my childhood, the biggest thing that I realized that I needed to do was forgiveness. And I don't mean just like forgiveness for the people that did me wrong or the people that did things to me. I needed to forgive myself. Because there's this thing that happens, right? When we experience traumas or we experience things in life, we tend to blame ourselves for why the things happen. And no one tells us, like, oh, that's not your fault. That didn't happen because of you. People are just mean and people are just broken. Nobody tells us that. It's we just left to deal with the repercussions of what happened on our own. And sometimes we deal with it by beating ourselves up. So a lot of days I beat myself up. It's like, oh, if I would have did this or if I would have said this, maybe that wouldn't happen. So as I'm dealing with those things, I begin to talk to myself and says, you know what? You did the best that you could. You protected yourself in a manner that you thought were, protecting yourself. You did what you could. Everything outside of that is not yours to carry. When I said that to myself, It sounds so weird now when I say it out loud, but it's not weird. It's something that needs to happen. Like we need to heal our inner selves in order for us to be great. I needed to heal. I'm not gonna say you because I don't know. I'm not a mental health professional. I said that in there, but I will say we all know when we get to a point in our life where it's just like, what is keeping me from being the best me that I can be? And for me, it was my inability to tell myself I can do it. I knew I could do it. I tell everybody around me, but I didn't believe it in myself. I would, I like even streaming on the platforms I'm streaming on now. I was like, yeah, I want to do that one day. And I would watch and I would take notes and I would write down different things. And then when I turned 40, I threw caution to the wind. It was like, fuck it. I said I was, you was going to get some cuss words. Not a lot of them. I don't know how many, but hey, I was like, fuck it. You know what? I'm just going to do it. And a lot of things that I realize now, a lot of things that I did, I was so engulfed in fear and insecurities. But as I made my way through that thing, those fears and insecurities dropped off of me. The more like I was able to like speak on YouTube or do videos or talk to different people or even work out or just like some of the most simplest things, the more I was able to do that, I found courage within myself. I found courage, I found strength, I found love, I found support. I was telling someone, I was like, you know, when we say that we love ourselves, we don't really love ourselves. And right there, you probably was like, what the fuck she mean? I don't love myself. A lot of times, our definitions of loves, of what love is, um, involves like materialistic things or it involves actions and it involves other people's actions and material things and like you know they got the five love languages, it's got all of that in conjunction with other people, but what we don't realize is like the greatest love that we will ever have is the love for self. This is something that I had come to find out. I would tell myself all the time, um, when I was growing up, I would say, one day I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to be so confident. I'm going to be so assured in who I am as a person that I am going to be unstoppable. You know, when you say things like that, life throws you like curveballs, it throws you all kinds of things, right? Hold on. Ah, sorry, guys. It just said my camera is dying. And now I'm trying to. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Life throws you curveballs. No, it is too short. Life throws you curveballs, and then sometimes you second guess if you are supposed to do what you know you're supposed to do. Like I would second guess my ability in making music. Like I know I'm talented in making music, whether it's writing, producing, um, excuse me, engineer. I know I'm talented, but I would say to myself, well, I don't sound like Beyonce, or I don't sound like I was comparing myself to other people. And so when you start comparing yourself to other people, what are you going to see? You're going to see the things that you lack. That's what you're going to see. So when I was like, oh, I don't hit the note like that, or I don't write like that. And when I thought about how I write, like I write from a place of realism and imagery. That's the place I write from. Like many of the songs that I wrote, it's like that has some like imagine what it's like to be um have all these hope, dreams, and aspirations. Like you probably have a journal or a diary where it's like one day I'm gonna be the greatest actress, or one day I'm gonna be on stage, I'm gonna be touring the world and singing, and people are gonna be singing my songs, or whatever it is, right? You have that, and then you look at your life and it's like, I am so far from that,
So far from it. And then you look at it and it's like, well, maybe one day when, I get to that point in my life. I used to say, people would be like, oh, everything happens, or what is the saying? Um, I forgot the name of the saying, but everyone's like, oh, when it's the right time. It has something to do with being the right time. And for me, it's like, it's the right time when you make it the right time. It's, it's the, it's the, it's the right time when you make it the right time. For me, it's like, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch, and I was like, mm-hmm. And I didn't stream. I started watching people streaming on Twitch, um, about 2, 3 years before I started streaming on Twitch. Just watching, taking notes, figuring out good times, figuring out good content that people was putting out, just watching. And then I hopped off the porch, was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do a 40-hour live stream. Never streamed before. Didn't know. But guess what? I learned a lot. I learned I learned about myself. I learned um my weaknesses. I learned areas in where I could improve. I learned areas in where I was strong at. I learned so much about it in these 3 years. So I decided to go on a journey of healing self discovery because I was tired of carrying things around, but also I want to be a better person. I really want to be a better person. And I'm not saying I'm a bad person. I really want to just, like, if you look at the world, right? If you scroll on any social media or you watch any news, it's like you got people calling the police on people for just sitting in a space. People calling the police on people for walking in a space or for looking a certain type of way. Like, there's so many things going on in the world. And I just want to be like a place where people can be like, you know what, I'm going to go hang out over here. Or I'm going to talk to her. I just want to be a safe space for people, right? That's what I want to do. And so I was like, you know what, in order for me to be a good human being, in order for me to be someone that can be a safe space, I have to be safe. I have to feel safe. I have to know that I am okay with being who I am. And I just had to figure it out. So as I'm looking at this list, I, in my mind, like, what your hangups are. The things that's stopping you from being who you really want to be. You know that. You know that. I know that. You know that. We know that. So when I actually I wrote them down and looked at the piece of paper, I literally started crying because I was like, I have so much work to do. Like, you do a little things and you're like, yeah, I'm so much farther, but it's like, no, it's not about the sprint. It's a marathon. Nipsey Hussle. As I was looking at it, I was like, okay, let me see the things that I can do right now, and I'll work on that. If I can't work on it right now, I will take the steps necessary so I can be in a space. So when I come to that, I will be okay. I remember going to therapy and they were telling me about triggers. And at first I laughed because I was like, I don't got no triggers. What you talking about triggers? And then as I started to come into the understanding of triggers and how things, how it works, I began to realize that a lot of things, there are a lot of triggers in my life. When you experience a lot of traumatic things, my therapist told me I had post traumatic stress disorder. And I did not know what that meant. So when she said it, I laughed because I thought my thoughts were, you only have that like when you go to war or you're, in a really traumatic situation. I was like, nah, I just grew up in the hood and you know, but as I think about my life and understand the traumatic experiences that I have endured, I totally get post traumatic stress disorder. I totally get it. I was saying how I was once someone who loved to be outside. I loved to go to concerts. I loved to just be real sociable. And then I started to realize that I would have panic attacks. Being outside would it would really cripple me. It would really cripple me. And I couldn't understand it. I remember one day I told my therapist, I said, I feel like I am having a heart attack. We need to call 911. She said, take your shoes off, put your feet on the ground, and breathe. And I was like, what the hell's wrong with this lady? Because that's not going to help me. Like, I'm dying here. My heart is like closing. And she's like, no, no, take your shoes off. So me, I'm like, okay, this feeling I'm feeling right now is so freaking terrifying. I literally thought there's nothing like when you think you're about to die. Everything goes through your head. Took my shoes off, and I know it now to be grounding. And so I grounded myself and I breathed, and it was like I had breathed for the first time. It was the most amazing experience. So I said to myself, oh, I'm going to do this every time I get a chance to. And then I started doing it and I started calming. Before I decided to go on a journey of healing and self discovery, I don't know if you have this, but it's like so much noise. And I don't mean like just people up there hitting cymbals or anything like that. It's like noise. It's like the things you've been through in your life is just playing around in the back of your head. It's like, oh, you thought you were going to go and be a professional basketball player over in Italy. I did. I did. That was what I wanted to do. That was my objective. I was going to be a WNBA player. I was going to play for the Houston Comets with Kim Perot, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson. That was my dream. And then it was like, ha, jokes on you. You can't play now because, and I was just like, damn, now what am I supposed to do? When you have that real moment, like, damn, I can't do that anymore. What am I supposed to do? And then you go get a job because it's like, I need money. And so now you at that job, and it's like, you don't really like that job, but you like the money that the job gives you. So then, you're just there kicking it. And then you start to see the world. You like, oh, I want to go on a cruise or I want to travel. Then you start to see the world and you're just like, am I truly living? I asked myself that so many times, and that is what like kicked it. Well, having a breakup kind of kicked me into overdrive into doing it, but I was there. I was like, there's so many beautiful things out here. When you travel, when you see other places, sights, I'm one of those people like when I go somewhere, I don't eat the same foods that I can eat at home. Like I want to try, like we went, we went on a cruise to so many different places. I wanted to try their authentic. I like authentic foods, so I want to try their authentic foods. And listen, when I tell you, foods that be in other countries and we have our own versions of those foods, it be like who be making this stuff because it don't taste like it tastes over there, or it don't taste like, anyways, that's a whole nother subject. But so I'm looking at my life and I'm like, I need to rid myself of these things because the only way that I am going to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish is if I believe that I can do that. You know, when we're younger, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, I want to be a pediatrician. And I'm a black kid in a lot of predominantly white school. And they like, what? A pediatrician? Um, I didn't know that. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to be a pediatrician. And then as I got older, I was like, I don't even think I could do it. I don't even think I could be a pediatrician, and not because I couldn't go to. Hold on once, y'all. Hold on, Cameron. Okay, go get it in the kitchen. Could you go get it? One moment, y'all. I'll be right back. One moment. One moment. I will be right back. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm back. I locked the door. I don't even know how he got in here. I locked the door so I could have some personal time with you and me. But anywho, so I'm checking off the list of things that I need to heal from, and one of the biggest things that I realize, um, ooh, that was different. One of the biggest things that I needed to address was um, feeling abandoned by my parents. Usually when you say stuff, you be trying to figure it out. Like you try to clear it up and make it sound all pretty. Mm-mm. Because that's exactly what I need to do. I need to clear up the fact that I felt abandoned by my parents. And so I went and I talked to my parents and I was like, hey, this is how I felt and this is what I thought and this is how I feel like you guys could have did better. This is, I just laid it all out. And as a child, I'm not a child, but like as a children, a daughter to my mother and my father, I didn't take into consideration their lives. I didn't take into consideration what was happening at the time in which I was born. I didn't take into any of that into consideration, right? So when they started talking to me, the child in me, the part that was like, y'all could have did better, y'all should have known, was kind of not listening. But the adult in me started to listen and hear pain and hurt. And I started to hear um, things that I had recognized through therapy. And so as I'm listening, and I was just like, oh my God, I expected so much of you, and you didn't even, like, you weren't in that space. Like sometimes in our lives, like, so when in my videos, I always say it's important for you to use your words because I feel like I'm not really sure about cultures outside of the African American culture, but I'll speak for me and the experiences that I've had. We just assume that people automatically know. If we've been around you for a long time, you just automatically know how we feel, what we think, how we operate. Like that's just like automatic. So for me, like I'm watching them and I'm listening to them, and I was like, oh my God, it totally changed my perspective. I'm requiring something from you that you don't even know that you're supposed to have. I want you to be this person, but at the same time, you don't even believe that you didn't even plan for me to be here. There was no plan. It was just like we did what we did as adults, and boom, you're here. So now we have to figure out how we're going to coexist so that we can raise you. And then there's like the passing. I had a sister who passed before me, and so there's grief and there's all these different things. And so talking to my parents opened up my mindset and let me know the opportunities that existed for me. And I say opportunities that existed for me because there was an opportunity for me um, to ask for forgiveness, and not so much as like I did something wrong, or I'm not even going to say it like that, to ask for forgiveness. And when I say ask for forgiveness, I asked my parents to forgive me because I put all of these stipulations. If you would have been here, this wouldn't have happened to me. Like I put all of these things on them, and at the same time they didn't know. I mean, I could have said something. That's what we like to believe, but at the time, they didn't know. I never said anything. I just assumed you're my mother, you're my father, you know what's going on, right? But the reality of it is they didn't know. So when I'm telling them things that happened to me and they're looking at me and was like, "Why didn't you say anything?" And I said, "I thought y'all knew." I mean, I thought parents, you know, you think parents know their kids. Like we just, that's what we think. Like you're a parent, you're probably like, yeah, I know my kids. But then things happening to your kids and you don't really know because we don't feel comfortable talking to you. We don't feel comfortable sharing with you because we're listening to you and the way you talk to your friends on the phone, and we listen to the way you talk to the family members, or we listen to the way you talk to your significant other. We hear you, and we don't want that to happen to us, right? So I'm saying all this because we are currently, presently, still to this very day, right now, when people don't talk about it as much, it was like, oh yeah, you gotta get a shot, you gotta wear a mask, you gotta wear gloves, you gotta do all this at the beginning. It was like rah 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 rah, and now it's like whispers, about COVID. You gotta ask, hey girls, we still COVID? Is COVID still a thing? Should we still be wearing our mask? Oh, hey bro, did you hear anything? Like that's where we at right now. But the reality of it is for the last 3 years we've been in a global pandemic, right? There has been a huge loss of life. There has been so many people affected by COVID. Our jobs had been affected. Remember in 2020 when they was like nobody can be outside, everybody got to be in the house, and we was like, what the fuck are we gonna do? I mean, how, where, when? Well, we got to go to the grocery store. Like we had all these different things, right? And then it was like, I'm not going to be able to spend time with my family. No more barbecues, no more birthdays. And then when people started getting sick, you couldn't go to the hospital with them. For me, it was like, I don't want to I don't want to let this time, like, I don't want to just be sitting here and, like, yeah, it's almost over. I'm just gonna wait till it be over, and then I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. No, January 2020, I was sitting here like, okay, if this is going to be my new norm, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life, right? I saw the endless opportunities that the internet and social media provided me. Not just me, provided people, period, right? I started to research, I started to read, I started to tap into different things. I put on my whiteboard, I was like, you know what? I want to have 7 streams of passive income. And the more I explored social media, the more I explored, especially Twitch or live streaming platforms, I was just like, oh my God, I see so many different ways that you can make money from that. I saw opportunities. And then I started to look at the people around me, and I was like, oh my God, my nieces and nephews, they like to play with slime and they like to color or build things. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to help them. I'm going to invest in them. So I'm doing all of this right. And then I realized not everybody has the mind or the heart that I have. And so I'm telling people, I'm getting sad because I'm like, hey, I hear you talk about money all the time. I hear you talk about, man, I don't want to work at this job. I don't want to do this. So I'm like, hey, here's an opportunity for you to grow. Now, the money might not come today, because what I realized in my journey is that a lot of people are looking for that right now. I need that right now. I need that love right now. I need that money right now. I need this car right now. I need this job right. Everybody is like right now. For me, I don't mind putting in the work till so that when the day do come, I'm not like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I already know because I prepared going this. You go on a journey. We went hiking up in Detroit, and I'm like, yeah, I love Converse All Star Lows. Those are my shoes. Where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear me some Converse. I ain't never been hiking before, but I'm gonna wear me some Converse and I'm gonna be cool because it's hiking. I mean, what is it? So we go, and my feet hurted so bad. I said, we have to find a Goodwill, a secondhand store, a thrift store, or something. We went to the thrift store. I found some hiking shoes for the low, low price of $4.98. And I bought them hiking shoes. Best thing I ever did. But what it taught me was when you are going somewhere, like right now, right? I'll tell you guys where I plan to be by the end of this year, end of 2024. I plan to be one of the most well-known music administrators for, be well known for assisting music artists and understanding the business of music. Like I will be well known. I'm not gonna say go viral or anything like that, but I will be well known. Like anybody that associate with, hey, I need to learn music industry, they'll come and talk to me. And what I'm doing in preparation for that is I have podcasts, I have seminars, I have ebooks, I have so many things to set up. Give me one moment, y'all. One moment. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. So I have seminars. I am planning to utilize my social media to share tidbits. I have a podcast where I'm sharing resources and information. I have consultation. I'm making myself readily available for it. Right. I planned out the content. Like I have a plan, even if I'm not the most successful one. I will be a music administrator, like a virtual music business influencer, if you will. Like that's what I'm striving to be, and not because all of the money and all of the accolades. Because in my 43 years of living, in my 43 years of living, when it comes to the music industry, I've heard so many artists say, "I don't own my music. I got signed a bad contract. I don't have any money." This is what I've heard my entire life. And as someone who researches, I went back and I looked and I was like, it makes perfect sense to me. We don't have money because we don't know that the money that they advance us is a loan, and we have to pay that back plus some. And then when they buy us clothes, when they do our hair, when they give us a car, they give us a nice house, a hotel room, that's coming out of our budget of what we are, that's coming out of our budget. That's things we already owe. They tallying it, but we don't think about it because it's like, yeah, I got that new car. Look at that car sitting out there. Look at my clothes. Look at my drip. Look at my jewelry. Like that's what it's the vanity for me. And so for me, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to assist where I can. I'm gonna tell y'all something that happened to me on Monday. Um, I grew up. I'm gonna start it right here. When I was growing up, I grew up in a predominantly black environment, right? Elementary school, I went to predominantly from elementary all the way until college. I went to predominantly white institutions. Um, when I first went to predominantly white, it was definitely a culture shock. Didn't have any clue. Like I didn't know. I read in the history books what it's like to like go, but I didn't. It could not have prepared me for what I experienced. When I was in college, I understood that I experienced culture shock because it's like predominantly black. There's certain things that you cannot do. You know, went to predominantly white schools and I learned a magnitude of things. I've learned how to build cars, cabinet, fly planes, bowling. I learned a magnitude of things. But not only did I learn educational wise, I learned people. I learned how to navigate the space between book smart and street smart. I learned how to navigate the space of people um, tolerating you or people accepting you. Like I've learned so many different things, right? And so I'm at this school and I'm figuring out my way. I remember when they used to have it used to be Black History Month, and they would play like these Black History, like Rosewood, and like they always found the most like those kind of movies. They always found those kind of movies. And then while they play them in our classroom, and then while they're playing them, people are apologizing to us. And then, some people took advantage of those things. But then when I realized is like some people, some people in life, everybody in life, we're all human beings, right? Some people make mistakes and they take accountability for the mistakes they make. And some people make mistakes and it's your fault that they made the mistake and they never will take accountability or responsibility and they will continue to think a certain way because it's normalized. It's normal for people to think the way they do when it comes to race. It's normal. We can shout from the rooftops, you shouldn't look at a person like that, but it's normalized. It's normalized. And I was saying that because when I went to register my first business, I thought to myself, I laughed because I was like, I knew, like I cried. When it came to going to high school, I wanted to go to high school with the local people that I saw every day, my family members, friends. I wanted to do that. That's what I wanted to do. My mother was like, "No, you're going to Chapter 220. This new thing called Chapter 220. You're going to be bussed out to whatever." And I was like, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there." But then, as I got older, when I got older, and I realized the opportunity that my mother exposed me to a type of life where we were going on most people go on field trips to like the zoo. We were going on field trips to like Chicago to go see Wicked, and like we were doing all kinds of wild, amazing field trips, like for even for lunch. Y'all, can y'all tell I'm having a moment right here? For lunch, we didn't have like mock chicken legs or we didn't have like mock chicken legs or the little square pizzas, or like we didn't have those things. Like we had Domino's, Subway, or KFC, or like they were the one they cooked. It was just like, oh my god, it was amazing. So I had already, when I was growing up, I had already, I don't want to say been bougie, but I was kind of, I just knew from a young age that I was different, and I lived a wealthy lifestyle. I will say that. And I don't mean wealthy like I had money or nothing like that, but my thought process when I thought about things, when you go to the store and you would have to get cereal. Like I never thought to get corn flakes. I was like, let me get frosted flakes, or I never thought to get like off brand. And that's not to say that anyone that's getting off brand. It's just like my mind. Like my mother used to be like, well, grab the off brand, and I'm like, ugh, I can't do that because I just need to have. I don't want to put the sugar in the cereal. I want the sugar to already come in the cereal. Like that's just been me. And so as I started to think and go through my past and things that I experienced, I started to think about the times that I had purses and shoes, and my closet was filled with stuff and it still had tags on it. And I just looked at it one day and I cried because I was like, instead of dealing with things, I go shopping. Shopping is my therapy. I real life would go shopping. Like I would buy my favorite brand was Eddie Bauer. It still is. I don't go as much, but I would just go on Eddie Bauer and just buy. Even if I just bought like a straw or something, I would just feel better. And I just said to myself, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to eat food when I get sad, or I knew. I'm gonna tell you, I knew when I was getting stressed. People be like, I knew when I was getting stressed because I craved. That sounds so funny to say now. I craved peanut M&Ms, sunflower seeds, and a wild cherry Pepsi. And every time I ate that, my mind was like, "Oh yeah, we're stressed." And I would eat that so many times. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna figure out why am I stressed. When I started to get, cause sometimes in life we like to deal with the surface stuff. Oh, I'm just stressed because I got a lot on my mind. A lot of things like what? Like what's on your mind? Oh, well, I have a startup and I'm trying to get funding, but yeah. So that was me. But now it's just like anytime I feel something, I was just telling my brothers today. I said, before I call myself the queen of foolishness, and I say that because like I love a good kiki. I do. I'm not even gonna act like I don't. I do. But in the space that I'm in right now, I don't want to kiki at the expense of someone else. I don't want to do that. I want to be the person where it's like, you know what, you ever ask your friend if they're okay and they be like, yeah, girl, I'm fine. And you just know something is off. And then that person on the inside of you was like, I know they fucking lying. Something is going on. And it's like this, right? You ever had a person ask you, okay, you want to tell them what is going on, but one, you don't know if you can trust them with the information. Number two, you don't know how they're gonna look at you once you share the information. And number three, you're just afraid to be judged. I'm gonna tell you this. It is 2023. And as long as you have been alive, someone has judged you, talked about you, laughed at you, called you out your name, and guess what? As long as you are alive, someone else is going to do that again. So I said that to say, look at the possibility of you freeing yourself. And I don't just mean like calling up people and be like dumping all of your life on them. I'm saying freeing yourself from the things that you've been holding on to. Maybe your first relationship wasn't the best. Okay. What made it not the best? I'm saying get to the root of the problem so that as we are I don't want to say coming out because we don't know when we're going to come out of this pandemic, but as you are maneuvering through the pandemic, you can utilize your skills, gifting, and talents, and you won't worry about if somebody going to like it or appreciate it or share it or buy it or anything. You would just do it from the kindness, from the purest intention, and you will be okay with it. I remember I remember when I said I am going to score a documentary. I had never scored a documentary ever, but I like watching movies and I like listening to movies. And when I hear the placement of the music, and I was just like, ooh, like you ever watch a movie and when the intimate scene is about to come on because the music shifts and then it get low, and then it's like harps or it's like a saxophone or something in there, and it's like your mind instantly is like connected to like this feeling, and then you see the two come together, and the music is starting to rise. I'm telling y'all, I knew I was gonna score a documentary. So during the pandemic, I got the opportunity to score a documentary, and what do you know happened? Um, I told everybody I was going to do it, and then when I got presented with the opportunity, I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'm gonna do it." And now I'm sitting here I'm sitting at my computer looking at it. It was like, I don't know if I could do this. I mean, I'm trying to look at last minute YouTube videos and everything like that, and I just sat here and I lit my smudge stick and I said, "Listen, you've known since beginning of time that you was gonna score a documentary. Just do what you know to do." So I watched it a couple of times through, and I wrote down the feeling that I felt at that time, and then I just matched the feeling with an instrument, and I scored the documentary. And I was like, "Hoo hoo, I did it! I said I was gonna score a documentary. I did it, and I did it." And so I didn't think anything else after, right? And you're probably like, what the hell does this have to do with endless opportunities? I'm going to tell you. When you get out of your own way, get out of your own way. People don't talk to me. People don't love me. People don't like me. I'll never find somebody that I'm going to be with. Now, the problem is, I feel like when it comes to dating or relationships, I feel like we are so many things that we've experienced in our life, and we never take the time to sit down and deal with them. We don't do that. We just hop on to something new. I scored that documentary, and I went on about my life. I'm still on my journey of healing and self discovery. I conquered the fear of doing something that I said I was going to do. And now it's like, oh my God, we are in a film festival. Oh my God, we're in another film festival. We're in 5 film festivals, and people are congratulating me, and people are giving me all kind of compliments. And I realize at that moment, I have this thing with compliments. Like, I, I didn't like when people, I didn't like when people would like compliment me. I didn't know how to receive a compliment. I didn't know how to accept that. It was just like, oh no, you downplay what you did so that people will stop complimenting. So he's like, I know that, it wasn't that you were, blah blah blah. When in reality, it was just me and what I experienced. And so I sat with that, and it wasn't until 2022. It wasn't, that was 2020 I scored the documentary. It wasn't until last year that I realized why I was unable to accept compliments. I connected it to a exact moment in my life when I was younger. And I could literally look back and see from that exact moment, anytime somebody gave me a compliment, it made me feel disgusting. It made me feel like that. And so every time I would hear it, I would get that feeling. It was an association that I did because of the things that happened to me and how it happened to me. In my mind, it was how it happened to me. It was the compliment. And then that compliment turned into something else, and it was unwarranted. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. And so every time I thought about a compliment, I just thought about that. And for me, on 2022, when I made that realization, I cried. I don't mean like, oh, I mean, I cried like wailing, crying, like, oh my God. My entire life I spent not accepting compliments. I spent like, I just spent it in a place where I didn't have to spend it because I looked at I put one and two together. When you gave me a compliment, you wanted something. That's how I associated it. But then when I was like, oh my God, that's not it. I did do a good job. I was successful. I am. And I started telling myself those things, and I could really feel like those walls. Like when you've been hurt so many times, you just put up walls. Like first you started like little bricks. Well, you got a little sandbags, and it's like little bricks, then it go to like steel, then it go to like those vault doors, and it's just like nobody can get through there. Mine started to fall off as I went on a journey of healing and self discovery, and I felt my blood. I felt my blood rush through my body. I felt alive. I've been alive for as long as I've known, but I felt alive. And for me, it was like ridding myself of all of that. And now here I sit at 43, and I could see endless opportunities. When the pandemic hit, I saw endless opportunities of how everybody was at home, and when you calling people and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, so and so is in a meeting, or they out for coffee, or they on this," and then you call back, it's like, okay, they coffee break lasts for 24 hours, and it's still in 48 hours. So when the pandemic hit and I knew everybody was gonna be at home, those same people I sent the email to, and I was like, "Hey, I would love to meet with you. I would love to talk to you." You know what those people did? They started to meet with me. They started to talk to me. You know why? Because they didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't have anything to do. So I took advantage of that. Even like right now, right? I feel like social media, the internet, has given us an opportunity. They asked me, they was like, "Hey, how do you feel about AI and how do you feel about Chat GPT?" So I told my friends, I was like, I'm gonna go to this. They had a Chat GPT here, and I was like, I don't know how to use it. I be embracing all kinds of stuff because I don't want to be the last to figure something out. I want to be in the know when everybody else know. You know. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to this Chat GPT thing that they're hosting because I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot. Like they're gonna teach me. I went to this Chat GPT thing. Like I'm a researcher. Like I be reading journals. I be reading um records. I be reading everything. I access different things. I be wanting to be in the know. I All data assets. I be figuring it out. I went to this Chat GPT thing, and they were showing me how to do prompts. Now I'm officially a prompt engineer. If you need somebody to help you, I'm officially a prompt engineer. Anyways, so I'm learning how to do all of these different things, and I looked at them. I said, I've been sitting over here reading this and that, and all I could do was ask this thing to do this and put it in this format and present it like this, and it would give it to me. Change the game. When I tell y'all, change the game. Everyone is like, "Oh, you gotta AI, AI is so scary, it's so scary." So let me tell y'all what I thought about. Right when I don't know if you watched it, but if you haven't watched iRobot, you should definitely go back and watch iRobot. I'm not saying we about to be in that state, but what I'm saying is you should definitely go watch iRobot. Anyways, so a couple of months ago, when um, the Godfather, father, whoever he is, AI came out and said, "Oh no, don't use it because it's bad and people are gonna do bad things." Right. The very first thing I thought about when he said that was iRobot, and I'm gonna tell y'all the part in iRobot. In iRobot, the Will Smith was like the main character, right? And so there was this doctor, and he was the Godfather, father of AI, and so he ended up being unalived, and they couldn't figure out how he got unalived because the place that he was in was so secure, and then they found out that it was a robot, but the robot wasn't a normal robot, it was like a human robot. And so the robot was, was like, "I didn't do it. He told me to do it." He breaking it down. And so when that man said it's gonna be used for evil, I said, "Oh my God, we living in the iRobot age." When you think about AI, right? Um, there are so many endless opportunities. There's opportunities to do so many different things, whether that's YouTube content, it could create the videos for you, it can create the artwork for you. There's so many opportunities, but like many of the things in our lives, we don't embrace it because it's new, it's foreign, we don't know it, we don't understand it. So I've been saying to people, I would rather embrace it or understand it and have some kind of understanding how to maneuver through it rather than be sitting on the outside, and as it is in this form right now and it's going to go to another form, I'm trying to play catch up. I spoke this past week on a panel at one of the largest music festivals in the world, and I met, I believe he's 13, maybe 14. I met a young man who created a AI generated platform. It's called Music File, Music File. It's something like that, where he used the artificial intelligence to create. He can input anybody's voice and make a song. And I'm telling you this because this young man is 13. He has embraced the artificial intelligence and used it to do something that we weren't even, the music industry, I'm going to say, the music industry wasn't prepared for. You probably heard the song with Metro Boomin, Drake, and The Weeknd. That was a fake. It was a deep fake. Like some guy took it. He's grown, but he's grown and he was like, oh, let me do this. And so they got it removed. Do you guys know how many AI songs is already in rotation that's on the Billboard charts right now? So we don't really know, but when it starts to become a big thing, my uncle used to tell me. He said anytime you hear them talking about making a big, just putting something right here in your face, he said pay attention to that. But he said also go around and check out world news and check out business news because there's something that is happening while they're right here in your face. And sure enough, as we were right here, I'm watching AI, I'm looking at AI, I started to realize how it was going to affect us and how. And so I said, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace it and figure out how much I can utilize it. If I can utilize it, should I utilize it? Should music artists utilize it? How would they monetize it? I've been figuring out all of that because that's my job. That's what I do. But at the same time, I wanted to come here to say, so when I'm saying about endless opportunities, I feel like the only way that we can get to endless opportunities, the only way that we can see the endless opportunities is if we rectify the situations of our past. If we've been hurt, if you are hurt right now and you're watching this, I was talking to someone and I was like, I wish that we could do away with the analogy or the saying of hurt people hurt people. Because in my mind, I'm thinking if you are hurt, like right now, if you're hurt, what do? You go to the emergency room or you go to the urgent care or you take care of yourself, right? But why is it when people get hurt, whether it's a relationship or, any kind of situation, why is it that we don't think that same way? Why is it that we feel like we have to cause hurt to somebody else? And sometimes I don't think we consciously do it. Some people consciously do it. Some people, some of you, some of us, I'll include myself, we consciously do it. I don't do it because I that hurt. I don't want anybody to feel that. I don't want anybody to feel that. That's why when people were asking me like, hey, are you ready to date? I know I'm not. I know I'm not. So if I'm like we start talking or whatever, I know. I mean, I'm cool. Like I'll go to the movies, I'll go to dinner, I'll do all that. But when it starts like you trying to, I'm not ready for that yet. Ready? You probably like it's been 3 years. I'm still not ready. I got a little bit more. I got a little bit more to do, and I'll be ready. I got a little bit more. It's not a little bit. That's a lot. I got a little bit more to do. So I'm talking to them and they're telling me how they were in a situation and it was like, and then I told them, I was like, when I had my breakup, people were telling me the best way to get over it is to get up under something else. And I said, how many people do that? How many people leave this relationship and go to another relationship? And I'm saying it because if you watch celebrities like I do, it seems like they just be tossing each other back and forth. Anyways, it's normalized now. It's normalized. Like I wish healing was as normalized as hurt is. It's easy. Like you can, if you really look and pay attention. There's so many people out here hurting right now. So many people. And for me, I'm just like, I just want to be in a space where if I do encounter somebody that is hurt, they feel comfortable enough to talk about their situation and let it go, free themselves of it. Like literally free yourself of it. Because I don't know if you know this, but the more you like pile on in your head and your heart and your mind, your body starts to like turn those things into illness. Like parents who, stress a lot of their kids. Like they start to have all of these ailments because they're stressing about their kids. And I get it because they're babies. You want them to be good, or they're your children, adults, whatever you want to call it. They're yours and you want them to be good. And so you're like worrying. And I'm at the stage in my life where I don't want to worry. Of course, things are going to come. Like I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, I'm 3 years into this journey of healing and self discovery, and I ain't sitting here like everything is being fine because I almost died every one of these years. Not that I think about it, I'm not laughing because that's funny. I'm laughing because 2020, 2021, 2022, I literally, when I say literally, I mean whether it was from surgery or COVID or just things that's happening in life, I literally almost died every year. And this year, or as 2022 was ending, and when you have a major surgery and you like have something traumatic happen to you, and you're like, hey, either I'm gonna figure this shit out or I'm just gonna give it all up. That's where I was at. Either I'm going to figure it out, either I'm going to figure out, hey, this is what I'm going to do, or I'm just gonna go over here and just be wild. I'm gonna be for the streets. That's just gonna be the end of it. I'm never gonna be for the streets. I'm not. I'm won't. I wasn't built. I wasn't built that way. But that's one of my options. That was an option for me. But I said that because as I sat down and I'm looking at this list, I'm like, oh my God, I have so many opportunities to help, so many opportunities to share, so many opportunities to like put people in positions. Like when I was coming up, like we had mentors, we had people like you can go to the elders, you can go and sit amongst the elders, and they will pour so much. Whew, what I wouldn't give for a conversation with one of my elders. And a lot of them are no longer here, and COVID, so I don't really be out visiting, and they're not too fond of the internet just yet. So I be talking. I have mentors and I have people that I talk to, and I just said, um, 2023, I'm going to give it everything I got. And I said that because 2020, from 2020 until 2023, I half-assed a lot of things, and I was very successful in half-assing a lot of things. So I said, as 2022 was going out and 2023 was coming in, I said, I'm going to give everything I got. Everything that I put my mind to, I'm going to give it everything, whether it's streaming, whether it's social media, whether it's writing books. I'm giving it everything I got, because if I was successful half-assing it, imagine the things that I can do if I apply myself. I said there's no distractions. I'm not going, I needed to learn discipline. I needed to learn discipline. And I'm going to tell you, being the oldest and the only girl, there was really no discipline. I mean, they let me get away with stuff. When I think about it now, I'm laughing at that because it's funny. It's really not funny, but it's funny because I wasn't disciplined. I wasn't disciplined in my spending. I wasn't disciplined in anything. Nothing. And then when I started to think about it, I lacked discipline. That's why I lacked. And then when I started to understand that, it wasn't easy and it didn't happen overnight. And I'm saying that because I don't want you to think that, oh, my life is going to just be peaches and cream, because it's not. We live in a world where shit happens every day. Every day shit happens. But it's how you deal with the shit. It's how you deal with it. I said a few minutes ago, people are going to talk about you. Listen, I don't know what deity you believed in, but they talked about your deity. He or she or them or they sacrifice their life for you. If you don't do nothing for nobody else, do it for the person who sacrificed their life for you. You owe it to yourself to be the greatest you can be. You're sitting right now under the sound of my voice, or you're watching this, and you're like, man, I do want to be successful. I do want to write a book, or I do want to go back to school, or I do want to start a business. Like, you have these things that you want to do, but you stop doing them. You put them up there on the shelf because of the pandemic, because somebody didn't believe in your vision, or because somebody said, why the fuck you want to do that? Who gonna listen to you? And you just put it up there, and it's like, well, one day I'm gonna get to it. That one day may never come. And I'm not saying that in a mean or rude way, or however the fuck you take it is how the fuck you take it. You are currently surviving a global fucking pandemic. If you are not living your best life right now, I don't mean like if you've been in a situation, you've been in a relationship for 15, 20, 11, 12, however many long years, and you know, we all know we know. Sometimes we try to act like we don't know. Sometimes we try to bypass it. We try to think like, no, that's not really what it is. It's what it is. If you know that it's not going anywhere, if you know you at that job and you know you ain't gonna get that raise, you don't put in for that raise. I don't know how many times they make you work overtime. You volunteer to work overtime. They not gonna give you that raise. You know why? Because you're not supposed to be there. I want you. This is what I want you to do. I want you to take this week and do something that terrifies you. It terrifies you. If talking in front of people terrifies you, I want you to make a YouTube video or go live on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, something. Go live. I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm saying. You know, like some people go jump out of a plane and skydive, and that's like the most scariest experience. For me, talking in front of people was the scariest experience for me. When I started YouTube so many times, I said to myself, if I would have stuck with YouTube back in the mid 90s or when it first came out, when I was on there heavy. If I would have stuck with it, I probably would have been one of them millionaire people, but then I would probably be broke because people be coming to me with all kind of stories, and I'm a giver. I'm a giver. And I realize, even in saying that, I have to protect myself. I'm saying all these things because all of your life, before the pandemic, during the pandemic, up until this very moment, everyone else's opinions, thoughts, beliefs, everything else mattered outside of you. It is now time for you to say, I am the most important thing to life right now. You are. If you are a parent, I'm pretty sure you kind of figuring where I'm going. You are the most important thing to life right now. Your children, your teenagers will look to you for guidance. They will look to you, whether you believe it or not. If you're a parent, I'm going to talk to you for right now. If you're a parent and you believe in, I'm going to stay in this situation for the kids, you're lying to yourself, because you know those kids don't know nothing. They don't know shit about what's going on in that situation that you are in. You're staying there because you are afraid to leave this person, because you are afraid to start over. We're afraid to start over. But if you look at your life, right, how many times have you started over? I looked at my life, I was like, I'm 43 years old, and I started a lot of things over. Here's a realization that I came to, right? We all know this, but here's a realization that I came to. Every year of my life, I've cried, I've been happy, I've been sad, I've been angry, I've been overjoyed, I've been overwhelmed. I've had good things happen, I've had bad things happen, I've had traumatic things happen. Like the gambit of things happen to me. But guess what? I am still here to show you, to prove to myself that I can overcome anything that life throws at me. Now, I ain't gonna act like I ain't come through those things without some bumps and bruises, but those bumps and bruises help me to understand not to go back there, not to do that again, to learn from those things. And it helped me to say, you know what? If I can overcome this right here is nothing. It's nothing. I remember after I had my surgery, right? I literally just told my brothers, like, I worked out this week, right? And I usually would like live stream it because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to live stream it. But this week I did it for me. I did it for me. And I said, if I can make it through this week, and I know I don't feel tired, I don't feel burnt out, I don't feel exhausted, I know that I am there. I'm not gonna overdo it, but I know that I'm there. So I worked out this week and I felt better. I felt different. It hurted a little bit because I ain't I'm still healing. It hurted a little bit, but when I felt that hurt, I was like, okay, let me, the discipline in me was like, okay, I went enough. Let me sit down or let me just relax or whatever. So I'm able to apply discipline. I'm able to apply these different things that I learned. And I think one of the most important things I learned was setting boundaries. I realized that I was a people pleaser. Like, I didn't want the people around me to have a negative or bad experience when they're around me. I wanted them to always be smiling. I want them to be happy. And so they would call me and be like, hey, girl, could you run me to Chicago? Or I'm using Chicago. Like, they want me to run them around town. I was like, yeah. And you know, when you have a vehicle, you don't be asking. Well, I didn't ask people for gas. And so then I started to think, like, man, I don't have any gas, but I done ran all across the world. So I was like, you know what? People want me to run them somewhere. I'm gonna ask them for gas. And because I don't drive a little car, I drive a big ass Yukon XL. I'm gonna need more than just $3 because that's not even a gallon of gas in my truck. And so when I started asking people for gas money, you know, your phone don't ring as much because like, nah, well, I don't, nah. Yeah. And it's like me that allowed me more time to do the things that I wanted to do. When I my family, like, I don't have kids. I have nieces and nephews, and I love, like, I will watch them every day, all day. Y'all saw they just came here. I had to pause twice because they just came in here. They love hanging out with me. Like, we be doing karaoke. We do everything, right? And then I realized, like, I'm giving so much of myself. Like, I don't really be having time to myself. So this past week, you know, my birthday was Monday. I was like, I'm doing a 43-hour live stream. Now, before when I said I was doing hours of live streams, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm doing it. But then I realized as I'm doing the 43 hours live stream, I am setting aside this number of hours for myself where I'm able to think about myself, where I'm able to do for myself. I'm able to just sit here and put my life in perspective, right? We are officially in the seventh month of 2023. Everything I set out to do from January until my birthday, I completed. On my birthday, I completed the 43-hour live stream and I came away. Let me tell you what the things that I came away with. It's endless opportunities. This is what I'm saying. I realized that I was the only reason why I wasn't successful. It wasn't the money. It wasn't nobody gave me the opportunity. It wasn't, I didn't have the resources because if you are on any one of social media, they are all monetized and there's opportunities for you to monetize them. There's opportunity for you to get brand deals and sponsorships. As I take a sip of my water, who sponsors me, Be Clear alkaline water. There are so many different ways for you to get passive income, for you to make the life that you want to live. There's so many different things. I began to understand what it is that I truly wanted. I grew up in a household where we didn't have to want for anything. I had every video game, I had every style of shoes, everything I could have ever asked for or wanted. I blinked my eye and it was there. And I'm not saying that to make anybody feel bad. What I'm saying is, I didn't know, I didn't really know hardships until I started getting older. And then, you know, life things happen. And then I began to understand hardships and I began to understand what it's like to go without a meal. Or even 8 years ago, I was homeless. Not a home, didn't I was sleeping in cars, at hospitals, parking lots. Like I was literally homeless. And it took me being homeless before me for me to realize like I need to focus on me. I wasn't homeless because I couldn't pay my bills. I was homeless because I was, you know, working with everybody else, trying to pull us to, let's be together, let's do this together. And then I put myself in a situation where it resulted in me being homeless. I wasn't the only one that was homeless. There was other people that was homeless also, but it was just like all the things I do in life, all the things that I give, and now I'm upset because I was like, I never thought I would be homeless, but at that moment, it was at that moment I thought about every time I would go to the store and I see a homeless person outside and I would give them money. You ever see a homeless person or you ever see somebody that's saying on the street and say, hey, we'll work for food or I'm hungry or whatever, and you ever look at them and laugh? That's not what I did, but you ever look at them and laugh or you ever told them to go get a job? Imagine if somebody did that for you. When I saw those people, my brothers would be so upset at me because I would give them everything that I have. I would go in my pockets and give to them. And now, not because it was like, oh, I'm afraid one day I'm going to be homeless, because I never thought that I would be homeless. Never. But I would give to them because I would think about myself, like if I was ever in that situation. I would want somebody to have compassion or empathy for me. I would want somebody to actually talk to me and not at me. I would want somebody to like look at me and see a human being, you know? So when I became homeless, I like I was the first part of it. I was like, I don't even know how the fuck I got here. Like I did everything, like you go down a checklist. I did everything. I treated people right. I did all of this, and then it was like, we want you to focus on you. And I'm saying that, and like uh, it's important for you to think about you right now. You know, thought about everybody else, think about you. And the moment I started to think about myself, it was like my life just became so clear. And as I said, I was able to write everything down, and I was able to go from the time my birth all the way up until 40. And then, hold on. Sorry, y'all. My niece and nephews. I'm trying. I'm trying. I told them I was gonna be done, and they, kids. You promise them something, they be on it. So, I'm sitting here. I'm thinking about my life. I gotta do better. I gotta do better. And the more I started to take the steps to do for me, and I'm gonna tell you how amazing life is. I'm not gonna say weird or crazy. I'm gonna tell you how amazing life is when you like, oh yeah, I'm on the road, I'm doing for me, yeah, I'm doing good, and then somebody come and say, hey, can you help me out? And you got that heart where you just don't want to see people not in a good space, and you reach out your hand to help them, and then something smacks your hand, and then you think about yourself again, and it's like, it's not time. I remember a situation where I was like, you know what? I'm going to help somebody because, they looked out for me. They looked out for me. They made sure I was good or whatever. I'm going to help them. But, there's situations in life where people put themselves in situations, right? Like, I'm pretty sure parents got this down packed, right? You tell your child, don't do something. You tell them, don't do it. This is why you shouldn't do it. You should probably not do it. And you tell them, you tell them, you tell them, you tell them. And then they figure like they grown, so they go and do it. And then it's like, Ma or Dad, could you come? So I'm sitting here, I'm living my life, I'm doing what I do, I'm grown. And I get in a situation and I'm like, I can't I don't even know why I'm here. But the whole time I know why I'm there because I shouldn't have extended my hand. I should have just been where I was. You set a boundary. You say, you know what? I'm gonna take all this time. I'm gonna work on me. I'm gonna keep my money to myself. I'm not gonna loan. I'm not gonna borrow. I'm not gonna do any of those things, right? And then somebody hit you with that story. They hit you with the story like, oh man, I'm good for it. I'm gonna give it back, and then you give it or you do, or hey, could you just run me here? And then you find yourself in a situation and you be like, damn, I should have followed my first mind. So 2022, I had to set boundaries. And this is why I'm saying I got good at setting boundaries. I'm the type of person who was like, can you run me here? It's like, yeah, sure, I'm on my way. But 2022 is like, I can't do that. And that feeling, I don't know if you ever heard, it was like somebody that like constantly do for people, and then you say, oh, I'm too tired, and then they give you that, oh, I had thought and I had hoped, and you feel that thing on the inside. It's like, well, I guess I could get up and take them. That that was where I set the boundaries. And then it was like, can you take me? No, I cannot. Well, I got gas money. Now they really start offering it. I got gas money. It's like, nah, I can't do it. Then I started realizing how much free time I had. Oh, I started doing it. I wrote nursery rhyme out. I got all kinds of stuff to the end of 2023. And by the end of 2024 is what I'm going to say. All these things are just a part of the journey that's going to go, and by every month from here on out is going to be great. It is going to be great because I did the work necessary to be in these spaces. And I'm saying that to you because right now you have endless opportunities. And while I'm saying that, you're probably like, I don't got the money to do this. I can't do that because I don't got the. I'm gonna tell you this. I went to this accelerator. Right? I have a business. I have multiple businesses, but the business I'm focusing on right now, all of them. I went to this accelerator, right? And this lady, she's like, they was like, how did you start your business? She's like, I was in my kitchen, and she's like, I have all of this cupcake, I have all these baking things, and she was like, I remember what it was like to bake with, you know, to bake with for people, like the joy she had for baking. And she's like, so I just started a cupcake business, and I just looked at her like, what? And the lady is selling cupcakes. Like, she went in her pantry, y'all know pantry. She went in her pantry, found, got her baking soda, baking powder, whatever, got all the stuff. And she said she just started baking, and people started asking, like people, you go on Facebook and people be selling dinners and cakes and cookies and pies and all those things. It's like, I said to myself, I said, how come, how come we, we as a people, um, when we're good at something, we don't do the thing that we're good at. We do the thing that pays us. Like, I remember when I was growing up, I knew, like, I knew I wasn't gonna work for anybody else. I knew I wasn't. I knew that wasn't my thing. I knew I knew that wasn't my thing. Perfect example, I worked at Popeyes one day. I can't even say 24 hours I worked there. I went there for second shift, and it was like, hey, somebody didn't come in for third shift. You got to cover they shift. You know what I said? Mm-hmm. I sure will. And then next day when it was time for me to go in for my shift, I brought that uniform back. I said, y'all breached y'all contract. I thought I knew I was gonna be a lawyer. But anyways, I was like, y'all breached y'all contract because I was only supposed to work from this time to this time, and I ended up working to this time. So are y'all gonna compensate me for that? Well, we didn't. Okay, here's your uniform. I'm gonna go ahead and do something else. I already knew. I always said I was gonna be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I don't mean these other organizations out here. I mean my own. I knew from a young age I was gonna have my own. From selling, I knew I was gonna have my own. When I say that, it's endless opportunities. No, you can't. Maybe you want to be a basketball player. You want to make it in the NBA. You're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna shoot the hoops. I'm gonna be dunking and doing all that. But you can also make it in the NBA as an analyst, as a broadcaster. You can make it in there any kind of way. But for me, I just be thinking like, why don't we share those things with people? Like, why don't we show, like, most parents are like, no, I don't want my kids on the tablet. I don't want my kids. When I tell y'all, my three, she's gonna be three next week. She's two right now. She know how to navigate an iPhone better than I do, and I've had the phone longer than she have, but she know how to navigate it. And I just told y'all, a 13-year-old boy took artificial intelligence and made a whole business out of it. He's 13. So what I'm saying is, set people up for success. If you are a parent, I had this conversation. I went um I went to the store. I went to the liquor store. I don't drink, but Stella Rose has this non-alcoholic wine that I'm gonna do a video about. I'm gonna, taste test it or whatever. And so I went to the liquor store, and I felt some kind of way. And I'm gonna tell you guys why I felt some kind of way. Cause I'm like, I know African Americans drink a lot of liquor, and it's not just a down talk to African Americans or anybody, but this is, you'll pick up what I'm saying as I'm speaking. I went into the liquor store and I was like, why are we some of the largest consumer of liquors, but we don't own liquor stores? Like where I live, I think there was like one, but I don't even know if they still open. But I went in the liquor store. I was like, why don't we own liquor stores? Like, why don't we have restaurants? Like, why don't all of the things that we are like largest, we're the largest consumers ever. Like, why? What is it about ownership? And then I thought back to my purpose and why I do the things I do when it comes to music, because we are not taught ownership. We're not taught that. We're not taught that when you go to sit down and talk to these people, they're going to give you five. They don't even know if they're giving like hundreds of thousands anymore. And they're giving like 60,000, 50,000, whatever. But they know that you've never seen that kind of money. So you will be ecstatic to take the $50,000 because it's like, yeah, I can go back to the hood. I can do all this or whatever. And in reality, you literally gave away everything that you worked hard for. Your name, your trademark, your music, the image, everything about you. You gave it away for pennies and nickels. I remember Master P used to talk all the time about ownership and how you leverage who you are. And so for me, things like that intrigue me. And so when I started to listen, I was like, of course I'm going to listen to Master P. He's the first black man I know that had fruit snacks. And y'all probably like, what the fruit snacks? Name another person that you know that got fruit snacks. He had fruit snacks. Before he had rap snacks, he had fruit snacks. And to me, that was like, I've never seen a black person with fruit snacks. He had already done something that was just like, oh yeah, you got my attention. I'm gonna see what you're doing and how you doing and what you're doing. And then I began to read real life, researching and finding people contracts, and I'm reading it. And I'm like, oh my god, you're entitled to. You supposed to get. I wonder if they got this. I literally said, and I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna say it out loud because I was telling some people on the panel that I was speaking to. I am going to find some legendary artists. Like when I say legendary, I'm saying well-known legendary artists, and I'm going to be able to sit down with them and walk them through their administration of their music and help them find the money that they are entitled to from their music career. Like there's so many endless, the internet has provided me with so many endless opportunities. I've been able to reach out to people, whether it's been Clubhouse, LinkedIn, Twitch, um Instagram. I've been able to connect with certain people that before COVID I probably wouldn't have been able to reach out to, because they were so busy. They're coffee, they're flying across the world. But I utilize the endless opportunities that COVID has given me, and I tapped into those things. People that's putting out documentaries. A lot of people be like, oh, we only got this amount of money for the budget. Okay, I can work with that. Artists who are looking to release music, I'm like, hey, I feel like you should sit down with me so I can show you how, if you put your music on the radio and you happy that your music is on the radio, but you're not getting paid for it because it's not in these systems, and artists is looking at me like, what? Nah, I don't have to do that. And then I show them how it works, because what I usually do when I first started, I never told anybody that I was an artist. I never, told anybody I have a bachelor's degree. I never told anybody any of that. I was just like, hey, I'm a music administrator and I would love to help you do your music, right? And so then people would look at me as like, who you help, who you put on? People still ask me that to this day. Who you put on? Who you put in positions? And I was like, hey, I could tell you. And then you will only work with me because I've worked with these people, or you feel like I could put you in connection with these people. And I'm saying that because that has happened to me. Like, people found out that I was working with somebody and it was like, hey, could you slide to my demo? Or hey, could you introduce me? And I'm just looking like, I can't do that. Oh, no, you think you know what I do? I also, hey, when people be like, oh, you think you better? Hell yeah, I'm better. Yeah, yes, I am. Yes, I am better. You are better. We're all better. We gotta stop letting people make us feel down about our capabilities, like what we're capable of doing. Fuck that. If you want to sit over there, if you experience a global fucking pandemic and you want to sit over there and twiddle your fingers, or you want to stay in that relationship that ain't going nowhere, ain't went nowhere, ain't trying to go anywhere. Everybody has this thing about marriage. Maybe one day I'll talk about it. But everybody has this thing about marriage because that was like what's pushed on us. Marriage is pushed on us. I know you might not agree with that, but that's why I said in my disclaimer, my opinions is my opinions and your opinions is your opinions. It's pushed upon us. Like they say, homosexuality is pushed upon us. Marriage is pushed upon us. Like, that's the end all be all. You be with somebody for a certain amount of time, the next step is marriage. Like, what about those people who don't want to get married, but they just want to spend the rest of their life together? And then you have those people who be with somebody that loves and cherishes them and worships the ground they walk on, and they're like, well, I need to get married because my parents were married or my grandparents were married or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to be married. And now it's like, relationship over. And you've committed so much of your time in that relationship, and then it's like, or you see the people who are like marriage, and then the person they break up with the person that they were in a relationship with break up with them and marry the next person that they were in a relationship with. Yeah, I done seen a lot of stuff in my life, and the thing I'm gonna say is this: if you are happy, and I don't mean you just smile because people are watching you or you want to be relationship goals. I mean, if you wake up every day and you are happy, be the happiest person you could be. But if you are not happy, if you complain about going to that job, if you complain about being in that relationship, get out. Get out now. Did she just tell people to get out of their relationship? I sure in the hell did. And I'm going to say it again just in case somebody missed it loud in the back. Get out. If you feel like doing the same thing year after year is going to change or make your situation better, you are by definition insane. That's insanity. Nothing's going to change. If you waiting for people to marry you and you know ain't nothing, you know, but they ain't even thought about it. And marriage is your objective. It's time for you to move around. If you know you wanted that position and you told your boss you wanted that position, but he can't give you the position, but he can, hey, could you stay a little later today and work on, hey, we need somebody to do this, and you always volunteering your time. Stop volunteering. Stop volunteering. Start your own business. Now is the perfect time for if you want to start a business to do that. I started my business. I failed a couple of times trying to figure it out. I failed, or I had to pivot or figure it out, because when I first started out, I'm going to tell you, I started out for sample clearance. We all know people be sampling all the time. I started off with sample clearance and I was like, yeah, I'm going to help people clear samples. I'm going to do all this stuff right. And the more I started talking to people about the business of music, and I was looking like, oh my God, you don't even know that you can get paid from this sample that you are paying 3 different people for, and you're just going to put it out because you paid for the sample to get clear, but you could still get money for all. So I was breaking down the money. Like, I'm not somebody that's like big on money. I know I need money to pay bills, but that ain't my objective. That's not why I move. I move because if I can help, I move so that I can inspire, that I can encourage and uplift. That's why I move. Money, of course, that's gonna come. I am who I am. I'm skilled at a lot of things, but my main objective is to make sure that you know. It's one thing to say, hey, yeah, you could do YouTube, but a lot of people only doing YouTube or Twitch or whatever right now so they can get that money. But the reality of it is you look at the community that you build. I built a community on YouTube, on Twitch, on Kick, on TikTok. Like, I built a community. Like, y'all support me. If I go live, y'all gonna come, y'all gonna talk, y'all gonna engage, all of that. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, you know what, y'all, I wasn't even looking at the chat. Usually I'll be looking, but I wasn't looking today. Please forgive me. Thank you to everybody who followed, who subscribed, who came by, who visited, who typed in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. I'm about to wrap this thing up because I got to go hang. I told my nieces and nephews that I was going to take them swimming, and the pool closed at 10. So that's another thing. If you make a promise, be a man or woman of your word, and don't go back on it, because that opens doors and provides opportunities. And today's thing is about endless opportunities. If you don't see what happened in the last 3 years of your life as an opportunity, if you're in a relationship and you keep seeing things, and I don't know why I keep going back to relationships, but if you're in a relationship and you keep seeing things, you feel things, you know things, you're hearing things, you're being told things, it is time for you to make that decision. Make that decision. Don't keep going along with whatever just because you're comfortable. Get out of your comfort zone. If you haven't learned anything in the last 3 years of this global pandemic, that should be to get out of your comfort zone. Never in a million years would have imagined that we wouldn't be able to go to work or go outside or even hang out or go to a backyard barbecue or whatever. You remember when the world first opened up, like the end of 2020 into 2021, and we started to go back outside? Everybody was outside. You don't even like to be outside, but you was outside because now they said you can go outside. I want you to take this week, right? I'm wrapping it up. I want you to take this week, and I want you to do that thing that scares you, because what I'm going to tell you this. You going to do that thing, and you going to look at it like, why the fuck was I scared of that? I remember when I was younger. And I got a whooping, right? I don't know if y'all ever analyze. Maybe I'm just really, I like to analyze everything. Anyways, I remember when I was younger and I got a whooping. My first whooping first and only whooping ever. I only got one whooping in my life, and it was memorable because I thought about this, right? While I was getting a whooping, I was crying because I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting whooped, and it should hurt because it's, you're getting a whooping. And then after I got a whooping, I was sitting there and I was like, that didn't even hurt. What the fuck was I crying for? Why was I making all that noise? And that's because what my mind saw was telling me. And I'm not saying what your mind see is not real. What I'm saying is sometimes we have to tell ourselves to go. We have to do this to ourselves. Shh. Sometimes we be thinking people don't like us, and that be so far from the truth. Maybe they are enamored with us. They just don't know how to speak to us. Because a lot of times people don't know how to talk. They don't know how to say hi. They don't know how to say you beautiful. They don't know how to say you handsome. I think you are highly intelligent. Your brains and your beauty together is immaculate. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to say, hey, I think you're a pretty fly person, but I would love to go on a date with you. They don't know how to say that. They just think, normalize things as, hey, shorty, hey, ma, what's up? Hey, daddy, how you doing? Like, people are normal. That's normalized instead of actually having a conversation with the person. I love having conversations with people because you get to know people. Some people you get to know like, hey, yeah, I'm never speaking to you again. Or I'll be having like that. I be having situations like that with artists where people just be thinking, I don't know what it is about people that think because you have money that I'm going to move because you got money. It be people that was like, oh yeah, I'm a whatever. And we could work together and I'm going to put you on. I'll be looking like, I'm not trying to be on, and I'm already popping out here in these streets if you ain't know. But it's not even like that. It's just like people think because they have money that you gonna move. You gonna go back. I'm gonna give it to you. Give me 5 minutes, okay? Okay, okay. Yeah, but we gotta get out of our comfort zone. So this is what I want you to do this week. Get out of your comfort zone. Do that thing that scares you. Because I'm going to tell you this. You are the only thing that you're going to realize. There's a lot of things you're going to realize. But you're not going to fail. And even if you do fail, guess what? You learn from failing. You ever been in a relationship and do everything you can you're supposed to do to make that shit work and it still fail? I did that. I did that. And you know what happened? When you do everything you can and the shit still fail, you probably would like blame yourself for it not working. You probably have all these different things, but not at one time did I do that. Not at one time did I think like, oh my God, this. I was like, no, I took accountability for the shit that I did, and I left their part where it was. I wasn't taking that with me. I left their part where it was, and I took accountability for my actions. And I was like, hey, just because when you have a breakup, you're like, I'm never dating again. I'm never gonna trust. I'm never gonna love. Not me. I was like, I got too much goodness to be sitting over here keeping it from other people. Somebody gonna come and recognize who I am and love me for that. They're gonna love me for my big beautiful brain. They're gonna love me for wanting to talk about everything. They're gonna love that. You think I'm about to deny somebody the opportunity? It's a no for me. It's a no. Another thing I want to say before I end. There's this thing. So there's the hurt people hurt people. If you're hurt, take this moment and sit down and heal and figure out why you hurt. Maybe your daddy left you and every man in your life treated you like shit ever since. Maybe you need to deal with that hurt from your father. Or maybe your mother treated you wrong, so now you got to dog out every woman that you. Maybe you need to deal with that hurt. Like, we need to access the inner hurtings, the inner things that are going on with us, so that when we meet other people, because what I realize is that we be meeting people that are amazing. We meet amazing. I've met so many amazing people streaming, so many amazing people just being in other rooms. I've met really amazing people. And sometimes we are so comfortable, or we come from environments that are so toxic, and they don't like, they haven't taught us how to interact with other people on a positive note, or we don't have to talk about people, we don't have to be negative, we could just be positive, that we don't know how to interact. So I want to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone, do that thing that scares you, do it. I know it's gonna feel like you're about to die, but you're not. You're not. What you're gonna realize is that you are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. You are far more powerful than you give yourself credit for. And this is me saying, as somebody who was brilliant. I am brilliant. I knew before I went to predominantly white schools, I knew I was brilliant. I knew before I went to black schools. I knew before anybody told me anything, I knew I was brilliant. I knew. I didn't need people to tell me that I was fine, because I looked at myself in the mirror, and y'all see, you might not be able to see them right now because I got a little weight on me, but keep watching. It's going to be gone. But I got dimples. Every time I see myself, I smile. Even when I don't see myself, I smile because I feel beautiful. A lot of people don't feel like that about themselves. They look good on the outside, but on the inside, they treat themselves wrong. And I don't want you to do that. As I wrap it up, I want you to remember these things. It is important for you to use your words. And I say that again because we feel like people been hanging out with us. They watch us on streaming. They know us. We grew up with them. That's our girl. That's our guy. That's our boy. You know, we high school, elementary, they used to come across our house. They used to, that's my cousin. Like, we be figuring people already know. They don't know unless you open your mouth and say, the words that you said to me hurt my feelings. When you did that, that caused me to feel like this. We need to learn to apply words to our emotions instead of using our hands and weapons and all of those things. But learn to apply words where we can say, you made me feel like this. And then at the same time we're saying that, if the person never apologizes, because sometimes we need to say this a lot too. If the person never apologizes to you, forgive them. Because you'll hold on to that and you'll be hating them and you'll be holding on to bitterness and hatred. And then one of the most amazing people will come into your life. And because you're so filled with all this other shit that other people did, you will be blinded to that person. You will not see that this person loves you beyond. They love you beyond your meanness. Your they love you beyond all of that. They love you. They don't love the car you drive, the money you have. They love you. You will be so blind to that, and then you will be praying to whatever deity you pray to, that he's sending you the person that is for you, and he's like, hey, they're right there, but you can't see them because you have so much stuff going on the inside. So here's some tips. It's important for you to love yourself. This includes your faults, your fears, and your failures. Because we all love ourselves when we look good, when we got that car, we got that money, got that job, we popping, we viral, we got more than 50 followers watching us. We the shit. But when you make a mistake and you don't feel pretty, or you don't feel good, or you just having one of those days where it's just like, why am I going to get out of bed? Because what you don't know is that everybody has those days. Some people just broadcast it more than others, but everybody has those days. Shit, I be having those days.
I don't like it out.
Okay, can you stand over there so Titi can finish her podcast, and then her gonna come right with you, okay? Can you just give me 5 minutes? I know I said 5 minutes 5 minutes ago. Can you just give me 5 minutes? Okay, but
What's that?
I don't know.
Let me take your name.
Okay, you want to go see if she got it?
Yeah.
Okay, go that way and see if she got it. And then when you come back, I'll have a cookie for you.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to wrap this up because he is really impatient. Okay. Anyways, love yourself. This includes your faults, fears, and failures. When you're afraid, still love yourself, because it is that love for yourself that is going to get you over that hump. Trust me. I know. I'm telling y'all this from personal experience. Love yourself. Know yourself. You know what is you, what is not you. You know, like, people be trying to influence us to do things or say things or be things. You know what's you. You know what you like, what you don't like. Know yourself. Trust yourself. This is a big one. You ever been in the situations and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you be like, what the fuck is that? Something just don't feel right to me. And then you get goosebumps, so you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach, or then you hear like this loud or small voice, so you be like, oh, my first mind told me don't go. Trust that because it is going to keep you safe. It's going to help you maintain boundaries. Trust it. And for the love of humanity, just be yourself. Why? Because you need you. I need you. This great big old world needs you to be authentically you. Like I said, we are currently surviving a global fucking pandemic. People don't be talking about it like they used to. Remember, they had us so scared. Some of us are still scared. They was putting it out there like you should just be terrified. And then it's like whispers. You don't really hear about it anymore, but we still are in a global pandemic. They're just focusing on other things right now. But if you haven't been paying attention to the news, you should. Do you know that people did not know that there was a train? Okay, give me 1 minute. Here, let me give you a cookie. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna give. Oh, no, she getting a cookie too. She get a cookie, you get a cookie. Everybody get. Y'all want cookies?
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. Thank
You okay? Yeah, what I was saying was people didn't know that there was a train derailment in Ohio. People didn't know that there was a forest fires up in Canada. And I'm gonna tell you this. Now, people done call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm gonna tell you this. We learned in my state this past week from Monday through Thursday we had cloud. It was cloud. It smelled like chemicals was burning in the air, and so they was like, oh, it's the forest fires or the fires up in Canada is now the smoke has reached here, right? And so I thought back to New York and I was like, they got smoke and it's a lot of smoke and it's still smoky and it's been smoky. How did our smoke only come from Monday through Thursday? Like, was it just like, okay, at this time, I know it's probably like the wind shift or whatever, but it just didn't make sense to me. It didn't. Then there was another train derailment. Now, I'm not making this stuff up. Y'all can go look at it. If y'all paid attention to the scuba, the submarine that went down, um, there's so many things that we should be paying attention to in the world, like who owns the farmlands. Did y'all know that the government wants you to register if you have a garden? If you don't believe me, go Google it. They want you to register if you have a garden. If you have a garden in your backyard, you got to register your garden. Pay attention to the news. In the meantime, make sure that you and your family are safe. Get you some toiletries, non-perishable food items, water, disinfectants, set some cash money, some coins to the side. Cause again, we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know. I remember I was telling people like, y'all remember when you went to get a case of water where now it's like $3.95 or $4 and then it was like $15-$20. Looking at that water like what? But I need it, so you bought it. Remember toilet tissue, hand sanitizer. Remember how much? Get you some stuff so that you and your family are good. I remember my big mama or my grandmama and big mama, everybody used to have them deep freezers and it had the food stored up in there. Hey, I remember people used to make fun of the doomsday preppers until they started paying attention to the news and the world news and seeing all the stuff that's happening. Hey, I ain't trying to scare you, but what I'm saying is you got to make sure that you and your family, regardless of what the fuck happened in this world, you and your family are safe. Lastly, and then I'm going to wrap it up. If you are someone and engaging in adult activities, wrap it up. We don't be talking about that no more. I guess because we're talking about the pandemic and other shit that's going on in the world. But the STD rates are rising. Everybody's sleeping with everybody. Everybody's doing everything, to find relief. So I'm going to tell you to wrap it up because you never know. Just never know. You wrap it up, get tested, go to the doctor, all of those things. That's all I got. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, hit the follow button. If you're on Twitch, feel free to subscribe if you are on Twitch also. Don't forget to like, comment, share, talk about it, come back and visit, hang out, all of those wonderful things. That's all I got. Thank y'all for being here. Until next time, I love you. Peace.